Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Embrace Post-COVID Opportunities in Your Restaurant, hosted by Pizza Marketplace and sponsored by Hazlnut. I'm Mandy Detweiler, Managing Editor for Networld Media Group. I'll introduce our speakers in a moment, but first I'd like to remind everyone to watch the entire presentation because at the end you'll have the chance to submit a question and possibly have it answered during the Q&A portion of our webinar. Teaching you how to improve your customer service and improve your bottom line are our speakers, Dick Sykes, co-founder and CEO of Hazlnut, and Stephen Edwards, co-founder and COO of Hazlnut. Dick, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do at Hazlnut?
Absolutely. So again, my name is Dick Sykes, CEO here at Hazlnut. First of all, Hazlnut as a company, we provide cutting edge ordering solutions for small and medium-sized restaurants and restaurant chains. So that focuses on mobile ordering through apps. It focuses on online ordering. Also, we've been doing a lot of stuff in store in terms of kiosks and really doing a heavy focus on voice ordering right now. As you mentioned, my role here is CEO. I'm not going to bore you with the details. You can see my bio there, but I bring a diverse background from business, primarily banking, but also hospitality. So it's an industry that's very near and dear to my heart that I love working with.
Stephen, what about you? Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
So Stephen Edwards here, co-founder and COO. Obviously, I'm in charge of operations. In addition to that, I also head up the customer service department as well as our development team.
Well, I'm going to let you boys take it over. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Now we do have one more introduction we'll go over now. Solomon Davis is going to be joining us on the second portion of this webinar. Solomon heads up operations for Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken. It's a customer of ours, longtime customer, but one that we feel really gets it right in terms of the things we're going to talk about today. They've really done a good job of tackling these challenges from COVID head on and adapting to the new normal, really. So that's going to be an exciting portion of the conversation. We're going to move into quick agenda here. We're breaking it up into three parts. We're going to talk about how COVID has changed things and kind of what led us here. Then we're going to move into the second portion, talking about what are the current challenges and share some best practices, tips and tricks on how to handle those. And then finally, we're going to touch briefly on where we see the industry going in terms of tackling these challenges and what we expect to transpire over the coming months and years. So I will throw it to Stephen to kind of talk about where we are and how we got here.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about how COVID has impacted restaurant operations, and more specifically, the ordering channels. Now, traditionally, I'm sure everyone is very well aware, you got dine-in and takeout. Dine-in, everyone's coming for the experience, for the food, the atmosphere. Takeout, obviously, you're trading that off for the convenience of it. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into how COVID has impacted it, as well as pre and post what the behaviors of these different types of restaurants. You see, Coca-Cola did this study, and it's measuring the average visits per month for one guest for both full service and quick service. And in the light teal or aqua, I'm not so good with colors, is pre-COVID. In the middle of, at the height of the pandemic, is going to be the dark teal, and then the kind of medium is going to be post-COVID. So you see under full service restaurants, for example, dine-in, right? 2.9 visits per month pre-COVID. Obviously, in the middle of the pandemic, it dropped precipitously as dining rooms were shutting down. All the stuff that we remember so vividly. But then after COVID, you see it jumped. The demand is actually even higher than it was pre-COVID. And this goes all the way through both quick service and full service, as well as all the other ordering channels, delivery, takeout. The main thing, or the main theme here in this data, is you see across the board, it doesn't matter which ordering type or ordering channel that you see, the demand has far outstripped what it was pre-COVID. So we're at an all-time high in terms of demand for restaurateurs, which unfortunately there are some challenges. And I'm going to hand it over to Dick, and he's going to kind of delve into some of the challenges that restaurateurs are facing out there on a day-to-day basis post-COVID.
Thank you, Stephen. So that's really the heart of this presentation. The challenges that have arisen from, like Stephen mentioned, not only the order mix changing, but increased demand across all order types. So we're going to stop here for a moment, and we're going to open up the poll question, the first of our poll questions. We want to hear from you. What would you say is your biggest challenge that you're facing right now? Is it we give three options? I know there could be a lot more. We could have an endless list, but option A, rising food costs; B, the labor shortage; or C, technology overload. So we'll give you a little bit of time to fill out those answers. And as they are coming in, wow. Labor shortage is 60%. Of you say labor shortage, followed by rising food costs. Well, I'm glad we're discussing it because labor shortage is a big component of what we're going to be going over next few slides. So let's talk about that. That was great lead in because labor shortage is felt by everyone. The whole industry is off about 6.1% or 750,000 jobs from pre-pandemic levels. And as you know, it's just impossible to find people to fill those jobs. The problem with all of this is customers are starting to notice it. So Yelp actually published a report. They said in the first quarter of 2022, the words short staffing or short staffed appeared 3 times more in negative Yelp reviews than it did the previous year. So that's a double whammy for restaurateurs because not only are you struggling to fill those positions, but customers are noticing, and it's starting to impact the customer experience. We've seen some really creative solutions coming out in this, where we've even seen people offering signing bonuses. I think there was national news one time. A restaurateur was offering a free iPhone for employees who stayed more than 6 months. But it's definitely a huge issue right now with no real signs of letting up, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about the challenges to different order types. I'm going to throw it to Stephen here. He's going to walk you through this slide.
Yeah, sign me up for that free iPhone. So first let's talk about the challenges in store. Obviously, across the various ordering channels, there's going to be different obstacles, but there's going to be a couple common themes, and none of these are going to be a big surprise. As we highlighted in the study earlier, demand is through the roof, right? More and more people are coming out of isolation, and they want these experiences, and they want good food, right? Couple that with shrinking profit margins. I mean, the cost of labor is through the roof. Rent, fuel, food prices, right? Have almost doubled in some cases. And again, the common theme throughout this presentation is not enough staff. And it sounds like you all are facing that same challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to Dick, who's going to kind of highlight some of the solutions we're seeing with our customers and then other restaurateurs out there.
Right. So Stephen's talking about some of the main challenges facing in-store orders. So some ways you can handle that. Well, the first way, we almost say this tongue in cheek, is hire more staff, right? Some of you may be rolling your eyes at that because the answer is you would if you could. It's just, in some cases, it just appears not to be an option more and more. Well, I think the next best option you have is to try to migrate away from in-store orders. Try to move those to more efficient channels, or channels that you're more geared up for preparing the order volume and handling that volume. And that would be online or, off-premise of different types. We'll talk about some other options. But the third option, if you can't hire more staff and you can't migrate more of these orders online, another option is self-ordering solutions. And here we talk about kiosks, right? This has been a solution in the industry for a while, but it's coming to the fore even more so now. I know McDonald's made a huge investment in 2021, I think to the tune of $6 billion of putting kiosks in all of their stores. So they're really betting that this is the future. But also, I read an article last week, Shake Shack is going to be adding self-service kiosks. So I think if you can't do the first two, start looking at options to still handle that in-store volume, but give customers a way to order on their own.
All right, so that was in-store solutions that we highlighted there. Now we're going to talk about some of the challenges our customers and the rest of the restaurant world is facing in online orders, right? So obviously you have the rise of the DoorDashes, the Uber Eats of the world, which are gouging restaurants, inflating prices even higher, despite the food price increases. Also, you have more orders. Demand is at an all-time high. Well, guess what? More orders means more staff. So that means you have to hire more front of house staff to be able to handle front of house and back of house to be able to handle the amount of orders that are coming in. And last but not least is all of this data, right? Who owns that data? If you talk to the third-party providers, they say they do, and they're going to retarget your customers for other restaurants. They may have pulled up the DoorDash app to order from your restaurant, but they see a $2 off offer for some competitor down the street, right? And it's understanding that data and using it to your advantage and being able to retarget and remarket to your customers so that you can keep them in your ecosystem. So I'm going to hand it back to Dick, and he's going to highlight some of the solutions we've seen out there in the industry for online ordering.
Yeah, absolutely. And that third point, you guys may have gotten into the restaurant industry because you love interacting with people and you love, preparing food. You never thought you'd have to become a tech CEO and know how to manage all this, but that's becoming increasingly more and more the requirement. So some solutions we would discuss. Number one, if you are not already using a point of sale, it's high time you switch. Please don't, continue using cash registers. It's just you're going to be outgunned in terms of technology. You've got to make that upgrade, but go with one that integrates online ordering. Preferably, you get bonus points if they integrate third-party delivery. That's starting to be more the norm. I know DoorDash, I think, is working with Toast to integrate directly, but a lot of other providers, Clover, who we do a lot of work with, they have a third-party app ecosystem. There's apps out there that will consolidate those third-party orders, put it right into your system. And with that, we'll go to the third panel here. You need to be able to go with a solution that has a dashboard so that you can view all of your data in one place, whether that's through the ordering providers themselves or preferably through the point of sale. You need to really get a good grasp on your data. What channels are the orders coming through? What's your average ticket size? Because if you're not measuring it, how are you going to know if you're getting better? And then finally, looking for ways to increase the average ticket size by migrating these orders more to online channels. It's been proven time and time again, you're going to have a higher average ticket size. Well, that's good because, like Steven said, you've got third-party delivery that's taking a larger and larger bite out of your profit margins. So by migrating more of these to your own channels, so online ordering, it's a low-cost channel for you, but also a higher revenue channel through average tickets. So those are some solutions you can do to help mitigate the challenges being faced in online orders. So we will move to phone challenges here, Steven.
So we've touched on online as well as in-store challenges and solutions, more importantly. And the last one is phone. And surprisingly enough, a large amount of orders are still placed via the phone. I know it's old and antiquated technology, but it's still an entry point for many, many customers across various sectors of the restaurant industry. The problem with that is, as Dick is going to highlight here shortly, but you need more staff, right? You have people that some restaurants have a dedicated person just answering the phones. And let's hope that they hear what they said correctly and enter it correctly into the point of sale. And the other downside is, when is everybody calling? It's always at the same times, lunch rush, dinner rush, right? No surprise there. But to further illustrate this point, I'm going to hand it back to Dick, who's going to take you on a nice journey and tell you a story that we actually encountered just the other day.
Everyone loves a story, right? Mm-hmm. So this actually happened to us yesterday. I couldn't believe it was happening. We had to take pictures and share it with you guys today, given we knew the webinar was coming up. It perfectly illustrates what we're discussing. So Steven and I, we needed to go grab a quick lunch the other day. We decided we wanted to go to Chicken Salad Chick. Great restaurant, highly recommend them. Hopefully there's one in your area wherever you're viewing this. So we call ahead. And they tell us they can't take phone orders. We need to come to the store. Okay, a little bit of an inconvenience, but that's fine. We show up to the store and we are greeted with a sign on the door that says, due to staffing issues, they are closing their dining room, that we would have to go through the drive-through. Okay, second inconvenience, but that's fine. Let's pull around. We pull around the building, and this is the line that we're greeted with outside. It was this long line, and you got to think they're not really, it's not like it's fast food per se. It's going to take them time to take that car's order, prepare it, accept payment, and fulfill the order so the car can leave. So we're just doing the quick math here, and this is going to take forever. So we leave. And we're not the only car that left. There were a few behind us that did the exact same thing. So that was a disaster, but that's only the first part of the story. After that, we decided to go to Firehouse Subs next. Well, we go, we wait in line the whole time. It's finally our turn to order, and guess what happens? A call comes in. And I kid you not, right when I'm about to give my order, the employee takes the phone call. Hopefully they're okay with me taking a photo in their store. But we just couldn't believe it was happening. So while this was happening, I stepped back and I take a picture of the line here, and you see Steven there waiting to give his order. And then I realized, you know what, this isn't the best angle. You can't really see the line. Let me move and take another picture. Well, you notice there's basically a before and after. This guy in the black sweater and blue jeans, he left in between the time it took me to take that picture. And again, he's not the only person who left. So now we know 2 restaurants that day that lost business because of this, because of staffing issues, and because of phone orders, which Steven just talked about, some of the challenges on the phone. So we thought it was an example perfectly illustrated where we're going with this. So what are some potential solutions? Well, jokingly, you could hire more staff. Seems to always come back to that. This one, not so much of a joke here. You could outsource to a call center. I know this feels kind of 1996, and in some ways it is, but it is a solution that's really coming back to prevalence given what's going on in the industry right now. I will say this tends to work better if you're multi-unit, 5, 10 stores plus. That way you can train the reps on just one menu that they get to know. But it very much is a solution. The third option is you could push more orders online. And you may be saying, well, how do I do that? A solution that's actually come to the industry recently that we're very much involved in. We're going to discuss it. We call it Hazel Voice Lite, but we want to first set the stage a little bit. When we were developing this product, we did a study across our customers, and we found that only 82% of calls are answered. So 18% of calls are missed. And like Steven said earlier, because when are these calls coming in? It's when you're busiest, during the lunch and dinner rush, when everyone else is hungry, right? So on the surface, 18% of calls missed. That's bad, but how bad is it really? Well, the second point drives it home. We realized that 75% of all calls were to place an order. So 3 out of 4 customers were calling to transact business with you. And so you know that you missed 75% of that 18% of missed calls. You missed those orders. So that's very real economic impact. And then it's a bad experience for customers on the phones nowadays. We saw that 25% of all calls were placed on hold, and the average hold was 68 seconds. So people are losing business, restaurants are losing money, and customers are having a really bad experience. So we came out with this product, Hazel Voice Lite. It's basically a phone tree for a restaurant. By no means are we the only ones in the industry doing this. I know DoorDash is rolling out a similar product, but I think it only sends out DoorDash ordering links. But the way it works is, you see, normally a lot of calls would be coming in and they would go right to the restaurant. Well, in this case, we kind of interject ourselves in the process where they call, and instead of ringing straight to the store, they're answered by a greeting, usually a professional voiceover or an automated recording. And it'll say, thank you for your call. Due to high call volumes, to place an order online, press 1 and we'll text you an ordering link. Or to speak with a representative, press 2 now or stay on the line. Well, it gives people that option, that first option, to press 1 and receive an ordering link. It's important to specify it's not sending them a link to your website. It's not, asking them to do the work of finding how to order on your website. It sends them the exact page for that location so that as soon as they bring it up on their phone, they can start adding items to their cart and check out. And we've seen really good success with this, on the order of 20 to 30% of all calls being redirected to digital orders. That's on average. Now, it's not only a better experience for the customer that ends up placing their order online, right? It improves their order accuracy. It's a quicker process. Usually there's no hold, but it also improves the experience for others who don't even opt for the link, but want to call the store, because other people have opted in for the link. There's fewer calls coming to stores, so staff is more available to take those calls, right? So it makes a better experience for everyone. So with that, we will move to the third part of the presentation here, and we'll discuss kind of where we see things going over the coming months and years. Stephen, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, where do we go now? Where do we go? Yeah, automation. I mean, right, the industry is kind of being pushed, and it's a culmination of all these events, COVID, labor shortage, right? It's a way to keep or even exceed that efficiency while helping augment, the labor shortages that you see. So real quick, we're going to actually have a poll question for everyone. When do you think you would begin deploying automation in your restaurant? And it's 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, or D is just, it ain't happening. So I'll give you all a few seconds here to look at that and send in your answers.
Make sure everyone's awake.
Yeah, make sure nobody's sleeping. But also, I mean, you see back of house automation happening already. I mean, the Chippy robot, which Chipotle unveiled, I believe, a year or two ago, that's basically replacing, the people that used to make the tortilla chips daily in the back of house. Oh, nice. So it looks like 3 to 5 years was the winner, although the rest of them were pretty close. Now, I mean, I do think, it's a little bit sooner than that, but, every restaurant is different. So back to automation, right? We have back of house automation with these robots coming out, and also front of house automation, right? I mean, can't tell you how many conferences that I've been to where I see these little, robots zipping up and down the aisles, and they're made to run food back and forth from the kitchen to the customers, right? And the biggest one, and the one we're probably most excited about, is AI voice ordering, where when you call in to talk to a restaurant, you're actually talking to a bot, but you're talking to them with natural language, and it'll take your order altogether. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Dick, and he can kind of explain and further illustrate, where we see the industry going.
Absolutely. So as Stephen said, I think front of house is going to be the first shoe to drop, really. I think that's where we're going to see automation occur first. And we're already seeing it. The poll came out at 3 to 5 years. I think that's about right for the average restaurant. We're actually seeing it now for some of the bigger brands. And I think that's, normally the trends with technology. You've got bigger brands who can afford expensive rollouts. They're usually the ones come out with it first. An example is McDonald's. They actually acquired a company a few years ago, Apprente, that's an AI company. And they're actually using that technology right now at a few of their drive-throughs in Chicago, where you can pull up and it's not a human who's taking your order. It's a automated chatbot. A lot of times it sounds human. The quality is getting really good on these. But also Checkers and Rallies. There was a viral video recently that took place on TikTok where a person recorded their interaction with a Checkers automated drive-through. So there's been really big success there, but by no means are they alone. I know Five Guys is doing a pilot. I believe Firehouse Subs is as well. Jet Pizza is doing it. It's just the bigger brands are already moving into this. And I think anywhere where the customer interacts with the employee, the front of house is where there's the most opportunity to add automation. But here's a quick video. I don't know if this is the one that went viral on TikTok, but it's just another example of an order taking place with a chatbot at Checkers. So we'll play a little bit of that. We won't play the whole thing, but let's see here.
All right, y'all. A computer is about to take my order, yo.
Welcome to Checkers. This drive-through microphone is monitored and recorded for quality assurance. What can I make for you today?
You hear that shit?
Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yes, hi. I have a coupon for buy one, get one free Mother Cruncher.
You may use up to 2 coupons per car.
Okay.
Could I get you anything else?
As well.
So we'll pause it here. You can definitely look up the video and similar videos online after, but you see there, the AI is getting really good. It's very adaptive. It knows that she's looking to apply a coupon. It didn't ask her to repeat what she wanted. It knew what she was asking for. So I think that's really where we're going to see this technology go in the more immediate future. So here, we'll wrap it up here. If you are interested in exploring a phone-based solution like we talked about earlier, His Voice Lite, you can scan this code. We are doing a free trial. I think it's 30-day free trial. You can get it up and running very quickly, but it's a simple way to start migrating more of those orders to digital channels and increase that average ticket size, lower your costs, lower your demand on staff. So with that, I think we will wrap up the first portion of the webinar. We will throw it back to Mandy, and I think we're gonna from there we're gonna move to the fireside chat.
Thank you, Dick and Stephen. I'm excited to see what the future has in store for restaurant industries today. Up next, we'll be joined by our esteemed guest, Solomon Davis. Solomon directs operations and digital strategy at Uncle Remus, where he is reimagining the role analytics and technology play in shaping the company's operations. With small and medium-sized businesses being vital to our economy, Solomon believes data-driven decisions and innovation will help them address today's challenges and position them for future growth. Solomon, I'll let you take it away.
Hello, pleasure to be here, and exciting stuff so far.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, Solomon.
Thanks, Solomon.
So we'll kick it off here. We've talked a lot about the challenges that restaurants are facing right now in this environment. What would you say has been the biggest challenge facing you guys at Uncle Remus Saucy Fried Chicken?
I think definitely the biggest challenge is the labor shortage. I think just one, retaining people, but then also two, right, hiring new people to fill those spots.
Absolutely. Now, what have you guys done to address that? How have you combated that problem?
Really, I think it's a sort of twofold approach. So on one hand, right, it has been a focus on people. So we've taken a look at one, how do we hire, right? And very early on, as technology is sort of being more involved in the process, we had to look at, okay, our applicants are really coming in through paper applications, right? I know it sounds counterintuitive, but really having those paper applications in store, they come in, they fill it out. And then two, turning to things like job fairs, as well as looking at some alternative communities that we don't really pull from. So seniors who want to put some extra money in their pocket, and then the second end has been a focus on technology, right? So how do we change the operations, whether that's hours, whether that is right adding in kiosks, as well as looking at what's that order flow that we need to adjust.
So I guess you would say the two things, summing it up, it was really investing in your people and how you acquire and retain them, and then also retooling your operations in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of things have you done? Stephen talked about in-store ordering and how that's becoming an issue. What kind of things have you all done to accommodate pickup orders in store and maybe redirect some of that traffic?
Gotcha. Yeah. So Really, I think it's about dedicated lanes. So really carving out, okay, here is the ordering lane, here is the pickup lane. So making sure that we have that signage and especially, that space, I think has really been helpful in terms of, okay, building those two lanes. And then of course, right, encouraging more and more customers to place their order ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about the pickup lanes, because to me, that's always my biggest gripe. People, when they implement online ordering, sometimes they get so close to doing it right. You can order online. It's a great experience. Then you go to the store and you have to wait in line. And you wait in line just to show the person, hey, I ordered online. I'm here to pick up my order. Like, oh, it's here. I remember when Panera, I think they were one of the first people to come out with unattended pickup. They would just put it in a little cubby for you. You almost, rapid pickup is what they call it. You almost feel like you're stealing something. You feel like guilty, walking out with it. It's just so unnatural. But I think that's becoming more and more commonplace. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are carving out that lane. One thing that we spoke about in the pre-meeting for this webinar that I'd like you to touch on was kind of how y'all started with pickup in mind for your latest location. You want to kind of get into what happened with that?
So I think in addition to, during the pandemic, we opened a new store. And so we really had to think about the customer experience in the pandemic world. And so, we had already built out, dedicated pickup, dedicated online. And in that store, we were like, okay, let's build a third little window to sort of facilitate that even faster. And so what we included with that was a screen up top that said, order tracker, right? Our order tracker. So customers could see my order's in the kitchen, my order's ready. And we also included a text message functionality. So the moment that order was complete, the customer received a text message that says, hey, we're ready for you. Your order is ready for pickup.
Awesome. Yeah. So to really begin with the end in mind there, know where you're taking your operations and to really build around that. That's, I think, the right way to do it. Stephen, you had mentioned earlier when we were talking about some of the challenges, it's the rise of these third-party delivery providers and that being a larger and larger portion. Well, Solomon, how would you say that you guys have dealt with that? Because it certainly has an impact on margins.
Yeah, and I think just talking with businesses, and especially in our case, right, that relationship between us and delivery platforms is, in the beginning at least, it started off as adversarial, right? It's you know that you need it because that's where customers are, and that's the only reason you're doing it, right? And we really decided to sort of, I guess, flip the script a little bit on that situation. It's not going away. Customers they want delivery, right? The genie's out of the bottle, and now we just have to embrace it. And so what we did is a couple things. One, building our relationship with DoorDash. They're our exclusive partner. We were like, we're going to do delivery, but we're just going to do the one, right? Because everyone knows that when you have 3, 4, 5 delivery services, it becomes a nightmare. And then 2, it is looking at that operation and say, how can we make it more efficient for the customer? How can we take that customer on DoorDash and bring them over to our online ordering channels? And really viewing delivery as a necessary thing to have, but also a luxury to the customer versus coming in store or ordering on our own online channels.
That's a really good point, where you talk about trying to find ways to migrate them to your channels. So you can really look at it as a positive. It brings people to your restaurant that might not have come otherwise. They've got the DoorDash or Uber Eats app already downloaded. They see you guys in there, and they want to order from your store. But what kind of things are you doing to keep those people ordering from your channels going forward once they come to you from this third-party platform?
Yeah, so a very big strategy early on was putting a thank you card in the bags.
Nice.
That says, thank you for your order. When you want to order again, right, we're here for you. Go to UncleRemusUSA.com. And then on the flip side, right, here's our loyalty program, right? Here are the benefits. You earn points, for every dollar you spend with us. We built out, recognizing that online ordering was a growing sort of thing. We built out a new customer service program. And so really hyping up the benefits, right? That ordering directly from us means that we can take care of you from beginning to end. Whereas when you go to DoorDash, you're now putting a middle person in.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The customer service side tends to be lost a little bit with third party. If there's an issue with the food, a lot of times the customer feels they need to call you, but once it's been picked up, it's kind of out of your hands at that point. One thing I want to move to, you saw in the webinar, we talked about the Hazel Voice Lite product and redirecting phone calls that come in to online orders. One of the things that I think shocked us the most when we looked at the data for your stores was you guys were like 50% plus of all calls coming in opt in for that link. And I think we were all internally blown away because on average, we see 20 to 30%, which is still very good. Then when we dug deeper, we found out, we called your store and we listened to the recording, and it's you flat out say in the recording, we are no longer accepting phone orders. I think that's a bold move. I don't know that all restaurants are ready for that yet. I think you're kind of leading the way there. What prompted you to go to such a drastic action of no longer accepting phone orders?
Yeah, so I think pre this transition, so a little pre-pandemic, we had already made that decision. And really it comes down to two things, right? On one hand, on the money aspect, right? That customer places an order and they don't come and they don't pick it up, right? And we very much love it that if you're placing an order with us and you're going to pick it up, that you've paid for it in advance. Two, when you look at the front of the house, there is a lot that cashier is doing where we don't need them bogged down with answering phone calls like you talked about in the beginning during the rushes. And so we were just like, okay, we're going to make this transition to Hazel Voice Lite and be very transparent and upfront with the customer, right, when they listen to that voicemail, because we aren't going to take your order when you come through. And so here's that link. And for us, that's been the exciting thing, is because before they would hear a message or, they'd get to the cashier on the phone and we'd say, go to UncleRemusUSA.com. But we didn't have any real data to sort of know what that relationship was. And now I can say to the team, right, 50% of the people who call us are in fact, right, requesting that link. And so the data piece has been huge for us.
Wow. Now, you guys more than most, I imagine that was a painful transition, because you said that, that's always been in your DNA, call-in orders for the way your staff operates, your stores, but also customers. They were used to ordering that way. So when you rip that Band-Aid off, what was the reaction? I want to know from staff, but also from customers. What was the response you saw?
Yeah, so I think with anything we do, right, there's always some pushback, especially when you're changing a thing that's been long established. And this decision was made a little bit before my time. So I'm just recounting sort of secondhand how it went. But on our staff team, right, I think our CEO has the CEO of Uncle Remus has recounted. And I guess this is probably customers and team members alike, but you're crazy for making this decision and this move, right? A lot of orders are being made over the phone, and this is going to affect the operation, sales, et cetera. And being the visionary that she is, she's like, I get where you're coming from, but I think that this will work, right? And so she made that switch, that call. And I think, we've seen great results. Especially our demographic of customer, we know that they're not the most technologically savvy. But as a part of this process, right, what's efficient for us is slowly nurturing them to what works for our business.
Speaking of nurturing them, another thing that came up on our preparation call that I thought was really interesting was, well, first of all, I'll backtrack a little bit. You guys are using kiosks for in-store ordering. You know, we know that you're an early adopter. I mean, when we rolled out the kiosks product, you guys were one of the first to jump on that. But what I thought was really interesting in our previous call was you said that you're actually looking at hiring someone to act as an ambassador for the kiosks. I think that's reminiscent of when Walmart first rolled out self-checkout. They had a person there who, you know, would literally funnel people to self-checkout and help. I think that's another big move there because you know, it takes staff. You're putting someone, you're deploying someone to do that role. You must really feel that the benefit or the payoff is going to be worth it. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So, you know, I think part of, right, what we talked about earlier in terms of this labor shortage means that you also get, you know, a different segment of talent, right? So if we are, right, hiring and recruiting seniors, it's sort of, they can't run the full scope of a restaurant, right? So they're probably not going to be lifting 50 pounds in the back. But we can put them, you know, front of the house. And so part of that extension is we hope to add more kiosks to the locations, or as we build new ones, use them more. And so we've talked about this sort of ambassador role, right? When you come in that door, you know, that first person to greet you. And we know that our audience, like there was an example, okay? I think a week or two ago, one of our shift supervisors had a full line out the door. And he went out and he said, hey, we have a kiosk. If you have a card, you know, step over and place your order. And all the people in line stayed in the line. And I think this is why we've decided, right, that we need to be more not forceful, but give a little more push. And that personal touch will help, as well as, you know, putting up signage and things like that.
Just
I think that's important.
And educating them. Right?
Absolutely. That's a big element of it, right? So many people think, oh, I bought the kiosk, I put it out, job done, my operations are going to improve. But I mean, we've seen so many times, you know, people will deploy one and it's like in some corner of the store, you can't really see it.
It's in a closet. No.
It's a closet, exactly. Go into the ordering closet. So I think it's important to have that signage out, but also doing things like you're talking about, Solomon, helping them get past that initial hurdle. Because once they've done it one time, next time they come in to Uncle Remus, they're going to be looking for the kiosk. They're going to be like, oh, that was way easier. Let me do it. But you just got to get them to do it that first time. Speaking of getting them to cross the chasm, one other thing, I know we're running short on time here. One other thing that I wanted to go over with you was what are you guys doing to help migrate people to these digital channels, not just kiosks, but online ordering? I know we spoke previously about the daily deals, and you said you're migrating more of that online. Can you just touch on that briefly?
Yeah. When you're talking about adding online into the mix, you have to, I think, one, rethink, you know, how we do things. And our daily deals are really incentivizing, especially our longtime customers, to come in store, right? That was the experience that they're familiar with. They're going to come in, they're going to get their deal. And as we said, data is really important. And so we looked at the data, especially, right? I think the poll, I think second to labor shortage was rising food costs. And we analyzed the daily deals and found, okay, we had these deals from a long, long time ago, and their goal was to drive traffic, but are we actually driving traffic, right? Or are they going to buy it regardless? And then two, we're losing money on the deals because we know that food costs are high. And so the idea was in September, we eliminated the daily deals and we created deals within our app and a couple tiers of deals. And so far we've seen great results. We thought customers would complain, but no headache. No one complains, no Yelp review, no Google review. And the check size on average went up to $20. And so that was very encouraging for us.
Wow. And I know we said that was the last thing, but one other point, it creates more loyal customers, not just in name, but also in the loyalty program. And I know you said that in your own internal research, you realize that the average ticket size for a loyalty member and the visit frequency is way higher than a non-loyalty member. And I think the industry data bears that out. I don't have a link for it here, but I would encourage anyone looking at this webinar, just Google, I think the company that put it out, Marketing Dive, Starbucks expands loyalty program. And it talks about in 2018, Starbucks was seeing that same trend, Solomon. Their average ticket size was, I think, 4 times higher for people who were Stars members or loyalty program members. And so they had the bright idea, hey, let's increase loyalty membership. So in 1 year, they increased loyalty membership 14%. Not, too big, not bad, but 14%. But that one change increased their revenue 40% for the following year, which I think it just, shows the importance of getting people into your digital channels, locking them in, and keeping them happy. Well, thank you so much, Solomon. We really appreciate you taking the time here. I think we're going to want you to stick around on this last portion. We are going to throw it back to Mandy. We're going to do the question and answer portion.
Sure. This question is for Hazlnut. Besides what you already discussed, what is the next major ordering technology you predict for the industry?
Stephen, you want to jump in on that first? That was kind of your slide.
Yeah, it's just in general. I mean, outside of, voice ordering, we see the automation. We still think there's a lot of opportunity for integrating the point of sale with the back of house and having everything talk together. I mean, I think that's going to be probably the next big. So everything's so disaggregated right now. I mean, between third party, in store, point of sale. I mean, it's just all, and then, even inventory. I mean, it's all kind of all over the place. I think there's still a lot of opportunity for growth in that particular part of the restaurant industry. But I would even throw it to Solomon and see where he's on the cutting edge of a lot of stuff. So I'd be curious to see what his answer is there too.
On the spot.
Yeah, on the spot. I think I'm not exactly sure. I think, the technologies that we're talking about, automation, et cetera, I think they still have a large time to sort of develop and take us to new steps. I think the big focus that I see, and this is not technology, but is people, right? Is investing in the people. And that's like training and resources. And that will help with this technology piece of how do we train and develop that person and address that labor shortage?
One other thing I would want to add to that answer is I think more likely what we're going to start seeing outside of the automation piece is full-blown self-ordering. You're seeing it more and more. Concepts, articles come out all the time of, some new concept in New York's opening up, and there are no front of house people. I mean, you walk in and it's just computer screens, kiosks, and lockers. You put in your order on the kiosk, and kitchen prepares it, puts it in a locker, you open it, take your food and leave. So similar to what Solomon and Uncle Remus are doing on the phone side, where they say, hey, no more phone orders. You've got to do it through these channels. I think you're going to start to see that for in-store as well.
This question is for Solomon. How has the staff at Uncle Remus felt about or acclimated to the new technologies? Have you had to overcome any skill gaps?
Yeah. Definitely skill gaps. The team members, especially managers at Uncle Remus, are on the older side, and the comfortability with computers is something that we have to work through. And so we've very much, especially in this pandemic world, right? A lot of our trainings happened over Zoom. And we've had to tailor those to real hands-on experience, real hands-on training, and just getting them comfortable, because we can't stop, right? We have to keep going. And so we have to bring them along with us, and also hire new people who can get it faster.
All right, this question is for Hazlnut. What challenges did you encounter in designing and building out the Hazel Voice product? Has it been worth it?
Yeah, it's absolutely been worth it. So a little bit of nuance there. When we talk about Hazel Voice, we actually have two sides of it. There's Hazel Voice Lite, which we discussed earlier, where people call in and it will try to peel off those calls, redirect them online. And we said on average that redirects about 20 to 30% of calls and converts them to digital orders. The other component that we're working on, we hope to roll out soon, is Hazel Voice Pro, and it's our version of a automated chatbot. So some of you in the poll answer said 3 to 5 years. You see automation coming. I think that's more in line with what Solomon was thinking when we had our conversations. He said he thinks it's still years off. Well, we're trying, as a company, we're trying to take that voice ordering capability that the bigger brands are already doing, and we're trying to take it to smaller brands. So we want to be at the forefront of that. Some of the biggest challenges we've had with the Hazel Voice Pro solution, which is 100% chatbot answering the phones, has been things you would expect. Background noise. People are calling, they're in a convertible, they got their windows down, you're picking that up, or you've got people talking back like, oh, hey, make sure no mayo on my sandwich, right? So the bot doesn't know who to listen to. People doing modifications late in the order. So they say, hey, I want to order XYZ sandwich. I also want to order this item. Oh yeah, by the way, on that first sandwich, make sure you don't put any tomatoes, right?
Yeah,
so
accents. Regional accents. Yeah. Even just from Chicago to Boston to LA. There's probably 10 different ways just to say sub, hoagie, grinder.
Yeah, I think the bot really struggled with the word grinder for a Northeastern caller at first. So yeah, there have been challenges, but 100% it's been worth it. The impact we've seen with just Hazel Voice Lite alone has been tremendous. Talking to our customers, we really look forward to the day we can roll out Hazel Voice Pro to the masses, where we can say, hey, instead of 20 to 30% of your calls, we'll take over 100%. That's really exciting.
For Solomon, what has Uncle Remus gained by utilizing Hazlnut products? What is the value?
I think the number one thing that you want, right, when you are implementing new technologies, most importantly, is partners, right? And so I think, above all else, right, as we've progressed on our digital transformation journey, Hazlnut has been sort of a great resource and a partner in terms of, this is what we have in mind. How do you deploy that? How do you build that, et cetera? And then two, it's really been about, we know where we have to be, and where we need to go, and the data that Hazlnut has provided, right? The data that we get from online ordering from all of our customers, right? That data piece of owning that data has been phenomenal. And online ordering, and whether it's like delivery or et cetera, online ordering just presents a whole new frontier that businesses have to master. And so Hazlnut has been vital in the sense of letting us build, our concept of the restaurant of the future. And we're excited to see, the products that we've tried out, how they develop, how they progress, and how we can work them more into the restaurants we plan to build.
Here's another question. As someone looking to make some of these changes and use technology to deal with staff shortage, what do you think would make the biggest impact to the business, but the easiest to implement?
I think I would number one say start with online ordering. It's still, even in 2022, it's amazing to me how many people don't do online ordering and fully embrace it. We've had, we've seen people turn it on. Oh, that was just a pandemic thing. They turn it back off. So I think what Solomon has talked about is he's really leaned into it, really said, this is not going away. This is the way of the future. Let's lean into it. So I think that's big, but also really simple. Going back to designating a pickup station, carving that out, because not only is it a better experience for the customer, they don't have to wait in line, they come and pick it up. It telegraphs the importance of online ordering to everyone else in the store. If they come in, they see that you are fully dedicated to an online ordering solution, and that is going to be the way of the future. Obviously, also, once you have the first two things in place, adding a product like Hazel Voice Lite. By no means are we the only provider. Sure, shop around in the industry, find something to do that, because it's a quickly deployable solution. It's lightweight, but you can at least, day one, Solomon will tell you, day one of it being deployed, it cut his calls 50%, right? Not everyone's going to see the same success. Like I said, on average, we see 20 to 30% with that. But I think if you've got the first two components in place, you've got online ordering, you are fully embracing online ordering and pushing it in store. The third component is funneling more of your order volume there.
All right. For Solomon, how has Uncle Remus balanced the digital with the physical when it comes to the guest experience? Any tips for fellow regional business operators?
Yeah. I think above all else, right, we talk about operations, we talk about new technology, and it really comes down to your relationship with your customers and the guest experience. And so in our push for, right, increasingly adding more technology to the operations, we have to be mindful, right, of one, where our customers are. And so that means that, we have to think about it as, okay, right, I know how the technology works, but they don't know how the technology works, right? And how do we get them to try it? And so that includes things, right, that we've talked about, putting up signs, incentivizing them, right? And so, you want to order online, here's a discount for ordering online for the first time, or join our loyalty program. And then also, right, that, and I know everyone can't do it, but just that ambassador piece, or how your cashier interacts, right? I think, very much, right, when that customer walks in and they're greeted, part of that experience, that cashier is also saying, are you a loyalty member? Oh, you're not a loyalty member? Here's a little card, right? These are the benefits, and they can scan the QR code, download it, etc. And so really, I think it's about that. It is, we know, right, that the in-store experience is one that's important to the customer. And we know also that when you convert them to online, they're spending more. And so, right, we've segmented out, right? So say, the average check size just hit $20. Well, I know that loyalty members are spending 35, online customers are spending 30. So you have to walk that balance. And some of it is just tiny additions. We're starting to put music in the lobby, so that you have a pleasant experience, if you're coming in store, or if you're just waiting to, pick up the order that you placed online.
Finally, for Hazlnut, and we're almost out of time, how can Hazlnut's texting product work for a pizzeria or a bakery or a Mexican food business?
I think it works really well.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I was gonna say pizza is like a slam dunk. I mean, it's probably 80% of all, that's not the exact number, but I know the vast majority is people calling in. I mean, even me personally, I still call in orders for pizza just because that maybe they're the ones that pioneered call-in orders. I have no idea. But it translates really well. We have quite a few customers on that product. Bakery, there are some challenges there. I mean, we have quite a few bakeries on our platform, but the issue that they always run into is inventory. Most of them don't even inventory because they'll make 10 dozen of the chocolate chips, one day, and then maybe the next day they're only making half as many, and they don't have an accurate count, right? So it's a lot more difficult. Some have figured that out, and I think if you can crack that nut and really sculpt your operations with online in mind and making sure you're tracking that inventory and keeping that consistent, I think that could actually work really well. And what was the last one? Cafe?
A Mexican food business.
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason why. 'Cause we can even do it in Spanish too. So I mean, and we have I think quite a few Spanish speaking restaurants where they have the option to see it or to talk or hear it in Spanish language as opposed to English. So I mean, across all, it works very, very well. But I'd say probably even exceptionally well for pizza because it's just like a no-brainer at that point.
I think Steven's right in terms of like, people who have traditionally had a hard time going online. That aside, once they figure that piece out, anyone who has online ordering is going to see an enhancement by using a phone ordering solution like His Voice Lite, redirecting. I think in no case has it detracted from the online experience, right? And in fact, it improves customer experience. There's been a lot of times, I think we even saw it in Solomon's data when we reviewed it with him. You see phone numbers who've called multiple times. They wait on hold for a while. They can't get through. By the fourth time they called, they asked for the link. They're like, forget it. I'll take the link. Right. So that person might have given up. That
in the past, they would have just left and called somewhere else.
Like the lunchtime story. Right. But it gives them that chance where people who, even if they decided they don't want to order online, they might finally capitulate and be like, well, actually, it's better than waiting on hold. Right. So I think in every case, it improves the experience.
The only other thing I was going to add, and I don't know if we highlighted it earlier, at least with our product, the texting product, that the question that was asked, you can use any online ordering link. So, I mean, while I think our platform is really, really good for pizza because we can do half, toppings, there are some pizza focused online ordering platforms out there. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to give them too much credit, but you can use that link on our platform too. It's whatever your online ordering link that you currently have. If you enjoy it, that's fine. Just we can have them text out that link to your customers.
That's a great point. We send out competitors links all the time. You can use our platform or not, but it's whoever you're using for online ordering, you can send out that link.
Okay, well, we're out of time. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was good seeing everybody. Thank you.
Thanks to all of our viewers.